If more of you supported the show, I'd be less sick of podcasts.
The blah blah blah.
Sending out good vibes.
The blah blah blah.
Good vibes.
Blah
Good vibes.
the blah blah blah.
Good vibes. Good vibes.
108 breaths of deep gratitude and prayers for guidance and protection. And put on a didgeridoo and shamanic drumming track. Shivers or vibrations and stuff like that.
Okay, guys, welcome back to the Grimerica Show. Coming at you this week with friend of the show, past guest. You guys most of you probably know him. If you don't, I mean, this will be a good one for you because you're going to find his show. You go check all that stuff out, our past episodes, the notorious episode about vaccines with RPJ that caused the rift. Is that in this? I don't know. That's somewhere. I think maybe it doesn't exist anymore. It might have got deleted from. I'm sure it's out there somewhere. A determined listener could find it, and yeah,
it's probably way back in our feed. I would say at the very bottom of our Grimerica Outlawed feed.
Yeah, that might be the spot. Actually, now that you mentioned it, that might be the spot where it is. So anyway, Alex Tsakiris, Skeptico, Californian, good guy. One of the reasons we're podcasting.
Yeah, he was super supportive at the beginning for us. It was good.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, super supportive. And one of the few shows that I was listening to, at least when we started podcasting. I mean, when you compare it to today, there's really no podcasts out back then.
And we still thought it was too late to start.
Yeah. But what did Curry tell us? What was it? Wasn't there still a crazy percentage of it's only 40,000 podcasts that have updated in the last month?
Oh, I don't know if it's I can't remember the number.
It was only 10% had updated in the last 3 months. And then it went down by maybe it was 100,000 that had updated in the last month.
Yeah.
So, for all the shows out there, not as much competition. I wonder how many shows that haven't released an episode in like 5 years are still ahead of us in the charts.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
Too many. Anyway, great chat with Alex.
And we also talk about his book, right? I mean, and it's a super interesting book, especially with what's going on today with AI. He has all these conversations with AI, all the different types of AI, and he pushes back on them like in his usual style. It's like he was made for this battle against AI because he kept throwing questions back at him, and then they would apologize to him. And yeah, I mean, you hear us talk about it during the show. It's pretty interesting.
That dude was working on rudimentary AI before I was born.
Yeah.
Or at least when I was a baby, at the very least. Because he said something about 83 or 81 or something. And I was like, Jesus Christ. I was like just born in that year. That Alex was already fucking forging a path to be reckoned with in Silicon Valley. I mean, he's done well for himself and good for him.
Do you think I could read his book, narrate his book, and I could use this robot voice? What do you think?
You're absolutely right, Alex.
That's too much.
That's too much?
No, I wouldn't listen to that. It's too much. You gotta tone that down like 90%. I would not touch that.
What about the medium robot?
No, that's still too much. It's gotta be super subtle. Like when a guy's doing all the voices, it's gotta be subtle.
What about the large robot?
No, yeah, well, can't you just tone that down?
No, I tried. It just won't. There's no settings to tone it down, and they just included this robot in the programming.
Dude, what about if you just did the devil one?
Well, yeah, I mean, I could do that. I mean, I have. This is one of my favorites.
You can't customize the robot one?
Alex, you are absolutely right. This is the devil voice. Yeah.
I'd go with that one.
Yeah. But is it AI enough though?
That'd be a good voice for you.
Is it robotic enough?
I think so.
It sounds pretty like legit, eh?
I mean, you don't want to make it sound worse than the actual AI.
I know. I was just joking around, but you know.
Were you though? Are you going to turn that off, or do you like the way that makes you sound? This ground feels a foot taller.
I'm feeling pretty burly and a foot taller.
What button did you press for that?
Oh, that's my own. I made it up. I've made a bunch of them for different things. You know.
How do I make it do that?
Well, you just got to program in one of those smart buttons, and you can change the pitch and the echo and the vibe, or the, what do you call it? Yeah.
There's not like an auto one to start with.
Well, yeah, there's a bunch of pre-programmed ones that come with.
Is that the one you were talking about?
Yeah, that's the robot one, right?
I think I found. What about this one? This is a pretty good robot voice.
Is that the monster one?
That's the monster.
That's just matched. That's just mixed.
What about this one? Use this one. You're right, Alex.
That one, it's not. I couldn't take you seriously with that one.
What? What are you talking about? What about just this one? This is just the
Voice disguise.
voice disguise. You're right, Alex. You got me.
I still think this is.
Come on, can you just put the pitch up one on for me for a minute?
Sure.
I don't ask for a lot.
This one's got the pitch up just a little bit.
No. I want the full effect. What if you did the megaphone?
Yeah, that would help a bit.
Mother. I think you should go with the pitch up.
Pitch up, pitch up, pitch up.
Come on, dude. Anyway, I digress. You could skip ahead all this bull crap if you just check the timestamp in the show notes. Not everyone's into. I mean, we normally don't do that. That's new. That's new. There's a whole like blank one too, eh? So you could get into a whole bunch of stuff on there.
Yeah. There's only so much you can do with it. I was hoping you'd be able to program like.
Well, like that's what I'm thinking is once you get into it, you might be able to press on the key and go in a little deeper and start going back and forth with it.
No, you can't. Yeah.
Did you look on like YouTube for?
Yeah. I've done quite a bit of looking around for that.
Tutorial searching.
Yeah, just to try and get like different voices in there, you know, instead of just the regular pitch up and down and the echoes and stuff. So.
Hey, when was the last time we gave a shout out to Nap?
Wow. I don't know, but let's give her a shout out.
Yeah, all the art, all the fantastic art. If people want to check that out, they go to, is it The Lost Bread Comic or just Lost Bread Comic? It's lostbreadcomic.com.
Yeah. But I don't know if that's her regular site now. That's probably the one that we have. We have it in the show notes. It's always in the show notes at the bottom.
Show notes. So, and also Felix. All the music is usually by Felix and Broke for Free. He doesn't really talk to us, so we just left it alone. I mean, we were both on Twitter for a time. I really don't think we aligned politically, so it was just best to just leave it be. I'm sure he appreciates the link backs. His music says it's free use, so we use it and we attribute him for it, and do donate to him, you know, once a year or so as well. Well, I just buy his albums on Bandcamp once a year. Buy those albums on Bandcamp once a year. And of course, we get a ton of people. What's this song? What's that song? Where you get the music and we send them. So that's how we support. And of course, Felix does a lot of the outro music, most of it. And I mean, we're going to use more $50 Dynasty, but we almost get a YouTube strike every time we do it. So
No way.
yeah. And they mute it on YouTube. So whenever Tyrell put that shit on YouTube, he clicked the wrong button someplace. I mean, it's just a robot, I'm sure, but even being good friends with Kyle and Russ and Ty and all these guys is like they couldn't figure out how to fix it. You know, the machine is so messed up that they can't even fix it. Facebook did the same thing. So it's not just YouTube. Anyway, Felix sent us a jingle. So it's been a while, but check it out.
Amen. Can I get a witness? Thanks to all of those keeping Grimerica in business.
It's a pretty good one, eh? Like it?
That's different. Yeah, that's a
It
different type.
is different. It was. I thought it'd be right up your alley. I'm gonna play one more time and support the show. But you could send us jingles. I mean, someone's just complaining in the chats. We don't play enough jingles anymore. And then, so tell me this ain't a synchro. I get the thing that fucking. I get the email with the jingle.
Yeah.
And I open Telegram.
No way.
Someone's like, "How come you don't play the jingles anymore?"
No way. Really?
Yeah.
Yeah, I saw that in the chats. Wow. Yeah, there's links to our chat too, right?
Business. Thanks to all of those keeping Grimerica in business.
I like it, and that's the one we need is a supporter chat, right? With little cash, little ding ding at the end.
Absolutely, nail it out of the park. Out of the park. That is the perfect jingle. So of course, there's this one too that I don't know. You must have heard this one, but I haven't played it much.
Adultbrain.ca. That's ADULTBRAIN.ca.
It needs like the old Mattel guy to come in at the very end.
Yeah.
Like, start using your adult brain today.
Yeah. Yeah.
Anyway, way back in the back catalog, if you're a newer person, we did an episode called Jingle Worthy. Way in the back catalog. That was it's like 40 minutes of just all the different jingles that we had. That I'll try and start playing them more again too, because we do have a lot. So actually, you know what we could do? We should ask for money. Support the show. I mean, we do. If it wasn't for a few people keeping us in business right now, we'd be in real dire straits. Well, a few hundred people, but not nearly enough. We're literally eking by over here. I know it sounds like something you just say, but
we're in Canada.
We're in Canada. I mean, it's crazy. I'm trying to. You got so we did get a one-time donation. I mean, and it was great timing too, because we had the trip down to the eclipse and everything. It's been a tight month for us. It's been a tight month for us over here in Grimerica. And like I said last show, we're not getting a lot of one-time donations anymore. And we don't have a lot of monthly supporters on Grimerica. We really don't. Most of our monthlies are on Outlawed. We don't have a lot of monthlies here. You get the one-time donations and a few monthly supporters, and that's about it. So and the monthly the one-time donations were almost down to zero for months at a time. So it's nice to see these picking up again. We want to say thanks to Evan D, $10. Thanks, Evan, appreciate it. And then also coming through on Wednesday, we had Darren T, donation from Northern Alberta. Cheers, boys. Keep up the good work. Being a listener for a few years now. So thanks, Darren T. God, big one. $100. So that's huge for us. Huge.
Did you get one for? Yeah, thank you. Did you get one from Sir Hank Scorpio of the Electric Grid? I think he sent us a picture, and it's like, but it was donation, but I have to zoom it in. I have to save it and zoom up and zoom it in.
Where's the picture from?
I don't know. It's a picture of like a heat, like an electrical grid plate. So I figured maybe that was what.
Another one here. Here's another $10 I didn't see from, but doesn't know if that's from him or not. It says it's from Alex A. The two biggest ALs, or the two biggest AIs, GPT and Amazon, are both just human contractors choosing what data to follow. It's not real. Has the guest ever spoken with Nassim Harriman or Foster Gamble? Their work seems like it would be right up his alley. What's today, the 21st? Okay, so that's definitely too far now. Yeah, okay, so that's all of them now. So unless I just missed it, I'm looking here again. I do not see the one. Are you sure that's not Darren T?
It's a single phase transmitter. No, it's a single phase transformer that he sent us. Here's treasure to keep the lights on. So thank you.
Treasure.
Yeah, Sir Hank Scorpio
Let me try typing in Hank.
or Douglas. Tried Douglas.
Micah Hanks. Wow.
But anyways, yeah, we've had Nassim and Foster on the show. If you go back a couple hundred episodes, probably fantastic guys. And I mean, I don't know. People are saying that. That's all over. People are saying there's like hundreds of people doing these AI. I don't think it is, man. I think it's an algo, don't you think? I can't picture that many people doing it. What do you think?
Well, that was the one I was in the middle of saying, actually. The 133 that just came through on Sunday. That was from Douglas C.
Oh, sorry. Yeah.
Yeah. So that that's a good week. If we had more of those, we could make payroll. I mean,
Yeah.
if we're being perfectly honest, it's been a couple months since we made full payroll. So, it's grimerica.ca/support. We're not just making it up, it's actually Graham and I have discussions on a weekly basis about how
to get me a part-time job.
Yeah, and make sure I keep mine, because we're not at that point yet where with everything, the trips, the podcast, the books, we're not quite there yet, guys. America.ca/support. Sign up today, make a one-time donation. We'll read your note. We love you for it. I mean, you guys are the reason we're at these many episodes, the reason we'll keep going. Of course, you can head over to GrimAmericaOutlawed.ca if you want to check out that podcast. We were doing the roundups and more like global warming stuff. We just did a CBDC show, an hour and a half on CBDCs and stuff. So, that stuff's getting into more content of us breaking stuff down and doing current events and stuff like that. So that's GrimAmericaOutlawed.ca.
Jim Lee was our latest release, and it was fantastic. I mean, he stayed extra long for us too there, and we went into all the climate change, geoengineering, the whole thing about con versus chemtrails, and all. I mean, we went deep into all that. It was fantastic.
And then, of course, there's adultbrain.ca for all the audio books and good stuff like that. And then if you guys are Canadian, you could check out our Outlawed Canadians YouTube channel, which has all that content sort of break down into bite-sized segments, anywhere from, some of them are only 2 or 3 minutes long. Some of them are 20 minutes long, but it's sort of just all on one thing, one very specific topic. So check that out if you want. I think that's all I got on that front. Where were we going to migrate? Oh, yeah, I was going to play that jingle next. That's right. So I was going to go play another jingle for Nick so he can get off my back.
Bingo, bango, social media jingle. Don't forget to rate, comment, and or subscribe to the Grime America newsletter. Bingo, bango, social media jingle.
All right. It's been a while since we did this too. And I do got to say that for whatever reason, since we demonetized on YouTube, the show seems to be actually getting a little more reach over there. So I will jump over to the YouTube.
Oh boy, you're gonna do the comment sections in the YouTuber? Uh-oh.
Yeah. Oh, here we go. A scientist watching Ethical Skeptic is like a magician watching Uri Geller. They can see all the tricks and deceptions that are presented as ground truth to the naive viewer. Well, Stuart,
Well, what do you think of that?
I don't know. That was Stuart Trickett 3033. So, Stuart, I mean, I'm sure we could get Ethical Skeptic to come on and have a little debate with you if that's what you're interested in. You could show him what's up.
Yeah, I'd love to know what part of that he thinks is trickery.
I would too. The numbers are trickery. It's number trickery. Here's one on Jim Lee. Hard to take seriously someone who thinks space exists and thinks a wandering star has an atmosphere and claims to always be right. I do appreciate the dedication he brings to this topic, to the attention of the public, though.
That sounds like your question to Ron Janix and our Captain Ron in our UFO discussion. You're like, but what if it's all just lights poke through the firmament? Like, what if it's not real? He's like, I don't know.
I don't know what to say. Then here we have Rachel Notley has ties to globalists and Google. Her lackey funded an Antifa gym for counter protesting. The people investigating it got nuked from the internet. I saw with my own eyes. Some people know this as the Queer Flex gym debacle.
Wow. Thank you for that info.
How to be free. I would like to know your thoughts on Stephanie McPeak Peterson's video on the relationship between music and money systems. Any idea what they're talking about?
No, I don't know what to say on that. It almost feels Spanish in a way, but
from our boy Maple Stirrup. Another great show, boys. Thanks again. He's like our number one YouTube fan. He's up there for sure. Anyway, it's a little unhinged sometimes, but for the most part, good dude. McCoy was not Cooper. His skyjacking was a disaster. He left a note in the waiting area. He wore makeup, and everyone around him knew there was a skyjacking going on. Cooper executed his skyjacking with almost absolute perfection. McCoy, by all account, did not. McCoy was 29, not mid-40s, like all witnesses have stated. Well, Baba Booey 5853, you might be in for some interesting news later this year. Blurred's Eye View. Blurred's Eye View. What's up, guys? So glad to have met at the Eclipse in Texas. I wasn't a listener before, but I was true to my word and checked it out. And wow, this is great stuff. I love the big picture stuff like this with agriculture, energy, and demographics.
Which episode was that?
Shane Simonson.
Yeah, I thought so. Yeah.
You've definitely gained a fan. We've just started low input, intense rotational grazing with our cattle in the desert of Texas. We saw the writing on the wall with all these issues, and we knew we needed to do something different than the traditional grazing model.
Wow.
On the Shontario episode, not even 5 minutes into this, I'm already beyond grateful. Amen to truth. Here's another one on spent pensions from Lubred. At 6 minutes and 8 seconds, does anyone notice the portal opening up behind Graham? Well, that might have just been a cat's asshole
or a faulty
or a faulty green screen. Dr. Shane Simonson, did he just say cowboys and Indians? And one more. This is okay, let's do two more. Okay, we'll do this one on Shane Simonson again. An absolute corker of discussion, guys. Thank you. The scale and diversity of the various areas and ideas covered, and then weave them into the larger tapestry of the subject was fantastic to hear and encouraging. I sense Dr. Simonson will be snapped up by the Rand Corp pretty damn soon.
Good comments.
Okay, here's the last one on gender bender and creepy Canadian tax-funded survey. They aren't expecting people like us to buy the bullshit. They know it's nonsense or deeply believe it. Either way, they aren't talking to us. They're talking to the ones they can catch, line, and sinker. Unfortunately, there's a lot of people that will fall for it, and that's what they count on. There you have it.
Thanks for that. That was good. Yeah, I like that.
It's good when you don't do you can't. You got to do it once in a while, and then there's more feedback.
Yeah. So the other thing I want to mention before we forget, I've got it open here, but Scablands of Washington with Randall Carlson, our trip coming up. It's like the 5th time we've done this, the 5th annual tour with Randall, May 13th, Monday, May 13th to the 18th. There is still a couple tickets left. Not many. They're going fast. And it's going to be a great one.
The spring one's the best one.
Yeah, check out the link in the show notes there. You can go to contactatthecabin.com and then click on the Scablands with Randall tab. Yeah, do you want to say anything more about that one? Or
no, the spring one is the best one. The September one is hot and dry. The spring one, everything is a little greener. The falls are up, the water's up. It's just it's going to be a great time down there. The weather will be beautiful. The lake will be an option for people that want to go swimming. I mean, that natural spring water. It's a Steptoe Butte the first night. I mean, it is a hell of an adventure. I'm going to be down there. So I took the last couple off, but I'll be down there this whole time with the missus. So
So just to give people an idea, like you drive around with Randall and crew in a few vans with Randall radio going on. He's transmitting his voice to the convoy as you travel around, like to the Grand Coulee, Dry Falls, the Steamboat Rock, Palouse Falls, Steptoe Butte that Darren mentioned, Devil's Canyon, Moses Coulee, Potholes Cataract, which is many people's favorite, Washtukna, West Bar, Crescent Bar. I mean, it's Upper Goose Lake. It's unbelievable. You go all over the place. There's a boulder park, Jaeger Rock. I mean, it's all it's amazing stuff, man. It's like it is paradigm changing when you see Randall talking about all this stuff in person.
Absolutely not to be missed. I mean, you definitely want to get one of these under your belt. I would argue you want to do the Scabons. The Scabons. Yeah. We don't have another one scheduled right now, so yeah, we probably will, but you never know. I mean, do it while you can. We might lock shit down again. Who knows?
Yeah.
Having time with us. You need it more than you think.
And then I'm going to Cosmic Summit on June 15th while Darren travels to the UK. The New Dawn of an Old Age. It's June 15th and 16th. The Cosmic Summit is back. It's got Luke Caverns, Robert Schock, Johanna James, Randall Carlson, Scott Walter, Praveen Mohan, Ben Van Kerkwick, just to name some of them. They've got classes going on where you can spend like hours with these teachers going through sort of like course material, stuff like that. A bunch of, it's at a really cool conference too in Greensboro, North Carolina at the Sheraton Four Seasons. So check that out too. Use the code CS5184 for a discount. We are sort of pseudo sponsoring it. We don't get any money from it, but I am going. So
we got a hotel room.
Yeah. Yeah.
Full disclosure, we did get a hotel room.
Yeah.
We probably could have got the hotel room anyway, though. So we negotiated. Yeah. We actually negotiated to get you guys the deal instead of us getting money. So
yes, exactly. So CS5184 for 15% off. It's a big discount. It's like $100 or something. So
the Tychos one is free. So I think you just have to let them know you're coming.
And that's the one in the UK?
Yeah, it's June 15th and 16th. I plan to be there both days, I believe.
That's
I
awesome.
have to leave early on the Sunday. We'll see. I don't know if I'm going to fly out Sunday or Monday. I gain the time coming back, so it's almost like the flight doesn't exist. It's like I land almost the same time as I leave England. So
yeah,
it's like, poof, land like an hour later. And so I haven't figured out that flight back yet, but I am going to head out, check that out. I will be. I think I'm going to do a meetup somewhere. North London. I don't know really what I'm talking about, but somewhere things like North London. So that's the area I'll be in Friday night. But we'll be in town all week. I mean, we're looking at our itinerary already with Tony the Faggot, and there's a few things I think we want to do. I think it looks like we can get a few different things, and it looks like we'll have enough time. So that's right. It looks like I could literally do like Scotland and Cliffs of Dover and Stonehenge.
Jeez, that's a lot. It feels like a lot there.
That's like 3 days. That's like a day each,
Okay, yeah, I guess you could.
And we get in Monday night, so we'll get in Monday or Tuesday.
When you say Scotland, I mean, what are you talking about? Like Edinburgh, maybe? Just going to the
yeah, exactly. Yeah. The very lowest sort of one at the wall. Say you've been to Scotland.
Yeah.
Have a pint, get a sticker. Maybe what is it? How's the Scottish?
I was about to do a pirate accent for some reason.
Braveheart. Oars by the bowl. I wore a kilt to my senior prom.
Why?
So I could sneak alcohol in. So that's all I got. I guess we could probably leave it at that. I mean, it's a busy week over here in Grimerica. Support the show, grimerica.ca/support. Canada's a motherfucker. Do you have a bio for Alex?
Oh, not really, but I do know that he is a host of Skeptico. I mean, this is a long-running podcast. Like I was, I was listening to him in 2008, I think, or 2007 or 8 or 9, and then we connected with him early on in the show. He was one of our earliest guests, like the first year we had the show in 2013 or 2014. He's an AI entrepreneur, mind path tech. I think he's a yogi too, but he didn't put that in his bio. Speaker and author. He's got like 3 books now. This one, Why AI is Smartest, is Dangerous, is Divine. Skeptical.com.
There, have it, guys. It's a good one. If you enjoyed, check out those back catalog episodes. We have Alex on 3 or 4 times, I think. And of course, he has his own show over at skeptical.com. I think that's it, guys. Enjoy the chat with the one and only Alex Tsakiris.
So I'll do welcome Alex back to Grimerica after 5 years. And, this might be a swap cast or whatever. You can do whatever you want with it too.
Oh yeah. You're not getting out of this thing without a swap cast. I'm going to chop it up every which way.
Oh, and you're welcome to do that. Totally. That's fine.
Say that. You can't say that when somebody says something provocative like that. You can't say, oh you're welcome to do it.
Expected to be chopped up. I mean, go for it. It takes a long time to chop stuff up, as we found out. Try to do these little clips everywhere like people are doing. It's a lot of work.
It's too much.
Hey, we're live, right?
Yeah,
we are live. We're live.
Let me share this with you guys. Let me make sure you can hear it. But I kind of got a kick out of this.
Well, he's going to surprise us with some stuff.
Ba-da-ba.
There we go. Okay, I've added you to the stage. Yeah. Oh no,
America. That's a really fascinating podcast, isn't it? Hosted by Darren Grimes and Graham Dunlop, the show covers a wide range of topics from UFOs and conspiracies to spirituality, meditation, and folklore. I love how the hosts bring a diverse array of guests onto the show, each with their own unique perspectives on these subjects. And the fact that they approach these topics with both skepticism and openness makes for some really thought-provoking conversations. Graham and Darren seem like a great team. I especially appreciate how they balance each other out, with Graham's background in like high steel construction, giving him
mixed it up.
Darren's experience in audio production, ensuring that the show always sounds top-notch. Overall, Grimerica is a must-listen for anyone who's interested in exploring the more mysterious and unexplained aspects of our world.
So,
who can we thank for that?
What is the sound? Because there's a sound in that voice. Like there's a sound in it that I can't explain. I can't explain it to my wife. My wife to be like, she's like, because we'll start listening to something. I'm like, oh, this is AI. And she's like, what the fuck do you mean? How can, and 9 times out of 10, I'll be right. But I can almost equate it to be able to like hear a TV back in the day when I was delivering papers. I always felt like I could tell if the person I was delivering the paper to had the TV on, because there's like high pitched ringing that I just couldn't quite put my finger on. But I can almost hear that same sort of signature when it's an AI or a deep fake. And it's got to be long enough that I can pick up on it, but there seems to be a frequency that I can pick up in this AI. And I'm wondering if, because you've listened to a ton of it, you must know what I'm talking about.
Well, they're all in a race competition. This guy's the best. Pi 8 by Inflection. So there's all these different AI companies, and these guys have focused on this engagement, if you will, what they're calling engagement. So, and Graham's nodding his head. So that's what they're about, and it's works. It's incredibly effective.
It's pretty good. Yeah, I think it's at a level now that even just the last year or so. I tried the Elevate. Was it Elevate? No, what was the one I tried?
11 Labs.
Yes, 11 Labs, and that was I was astounded by that. I was playing differences of mine in there and my real voice, and people had a hard time telling the difference. And I thought that was really like the key where it flipped over with that. And this, I think yours sounds even better. This Pi 8 sounds even better.
Well, the thing about Pi 8 is it's Pi AI by inflection, and 8 is just the voice that I like. It's my bro, he's but I had to play that because Darren was going, hey man, I don't know, I'm not convinced. So these guys are constantly leapfrogging each other with the technology, trying to get one step ahead, and that's just where this one's at. And there's so many different aspects of each one and where they're going and what all that means and all that stuff.
So did they actually write the description and say it to you as well? Like who's responsible for that description?
I'm sorry, Graham, I buried the lead. Yes, exactly. So the difference between 11 Labs is it's just doing text to speech. You're giving it the text. This is on the fly generation, like Chat GPT or Gemini, and then doing it. And the level of engagement, the level of the depth of understanding still has a lot of bias, confabulates, steelworkers, all this stuff. But those are just bugs that they're rapidly kind of moving. You don't have a background.
I mean, I do. Well, I do. I mean, I used to. I mean, it's just Darren. I went to work for Darren's the company that Darren worked for. So I was there for 11 or 12 years. I mean, and it's in my one of my resumes somewhere.
We're in the office. So it wouldn't have been the high steel aspect of it. It would be misleading. Because I'm the one who actually worked on steel. And I think that's in my bio on the website. That's actually in the bio on the Grimerica website, that I have a history in high steel or something like that. I bet I could find exactly where, which is kind of my concern with the AI. Was when I was trying to use it, it just seemed like it was using a search engine, but without my discernment. So it was like just sort of grabbing at things that maybe were from haywire sources.
What do you think, Graham?
I started using I haven't paid for any, except for 11 Labs. I did pay and then cancel because I can only do so much with it. I kind of wanted to really just get a sample. But other than that, it's just Chat GPT 3.5 is the one I've been using. I haven't gone and paid for anything but I started using, and I really started to like Chat GPT for just searching instead of Googling and stuff, because it was just giving me my answers right there. I was so much faster. It was so much more concise. But then only a few weeks back, I found a couple. I thought this is great for these things that like it doesn't really matter, right? There's no like cultural reference. I'm just asking for like, when was this book published, or when did this author die, or how do you pronounce this word? Like, give me the Spanish phrase in English, like, because I got to do all these translations on the fly. So it's great for a lot of that kind of stuff. But then it told me that Carl Jung died in 54. He told me he died in 54. I'm like, oh, Carl Jung's books are in the public domain. This is great. And then I go a little further, like a week later, I look back and I go, what's going on here? He didn't die till like 68. And I went back and I said, when did Carl Jung die? And he's like, 68. And I go, well, you told me before it was 54. Oh yeah, sorry about the mistake. And I'm like, what's going on here? How does it get something like that wrong? And then it told me like, the Crash Test Dummy song was from the 80s. And I'm like, what do you mean Crash Test Dummies are from the 80s? That's got to be the 90s. Oh yeah, sorry, we got that wrong. And that was my shocker of like, what is going on here? I can't even get these basic things right. It seemed to be working pretty good. And then I guess these are these hallucinations that people are talking about. And then meanwhile, after that, Darren was starting to use it quite a bit. And then I started to see like,
I paid for it. I paid for it, but yeah, it's just like it's got to the point where I can't really use it because Graham can even tell what I'm using it for now. He's like, we're
going to embark on a journey for this, this description that he's got AI's help with writing. I can start to tell. So I mean, your book was amazing on it. I almost feel like I don't want to be too gushy right now, but I almost feel like this is like what you're meant to push back against this. I mean, who else in the world can write a book like that, challenging AI, all these different AIs on all these different like scientific things and really pick it apart? I mean, it was mind blowing to me. I mean, I was up and down. I was like, oh, AI's got the potential to be this great thing. I mean, as long as we just make sure it tells the truth, that it can be like all the, and then I'm towards the end, I'm like, oh my God, the thing is just, it's admitting that it's lying to you and it's deceiving you. And you go around and it just keeps saying, you're absolutely right, Alex. And I'm like, what? It's
it's like condescendingly wrong. It's like, yeah, that's it.
I was trying to come up with a word to describe how it feels because it kept answering you in this way. And I still haven't figured out what the word is. Maybe I should ask AI what the word is. How are you making me feel with these it's not condescension, but it's like I think you might have even said it in your book at one point.
Yeah. Well, I'm not sure. This is, I know because you read the book. I mean, it's kind of funny because this was my thing. I didn't do high steel, but I did AI.
Yeah.
I did
Before
AI.
It was a thing, right?
Yeah. I was in AI in school. And then, I was always I started an AI company. I mean, a legit company.
An actual like voice text, wasn't it something to do with voice and text?
It was actually, so back in the day, because I'm old, the first wave of this thing, the driver was, like, one of my clients was DuPont. Another one was Texas A&M. Texas Instruments and DuPont, Standard Oil. But so if you're DuPont and you're evil and you do Teflon and you destroy the world, but at the same time, you got these PhDs, chemical engineering guys that are geniuses that have invented this stuff that no one in the world, and you're like millions and millions of dollars in that guy's head is walking out of my door every night. And I hope that he walks back in. But if he ever doesn't, that asset is leaving the building. And I wish there was some way I could get that brain and stick it into my computer, and that would be the economically business responsible thing to do. So the idea was you could develop these things called expert systems, and you could figure out what this guy was an expert in, and you'd take his logic, break it down, basically program it. Knowledge engineering, we called it. And then you could build that into a system, and there, you'd have it. You have the backup, not like they're talking about sleeving, the whole consciousness, but it was more like straightforward business. I'll just take what you know about chemical engineering and I'll get it in there. And that turned out to, that's the other thing, not to digress too far, but like as we unravel this AI thing tonight, one of the things we're going to talk about is this technology is just technology. It's just a computer program, and some of them work, some of them don't. Some of them have different techniques that are more effective for one thing than another, but you can really demystify it pretty quickly if you've been in there and you know what's going on and you see the research and how it's progressed.
So how many different types did you use for your book then? I mean, there's a few. And which one did you find one was better than all the rest? I mean, towards the end, it sounded like Gemini was dropping the ball quite a bit, but.
Yeah. Well, the first thing, we're talking about large language models, generative AI, chatbots, right? There's a lot of different kinds of AI, there's robotics, there's medical AI, there's
a lot of the GPS stuff, right? Now that's going to be when my phone's telling me to take a different road because there's traffic on this one. That's going to be some level of AI.
Oh, everywhere. Driving.
So I guess to me, the big difference is going to be what's the big one is going to be the general intelligence. Is that the real difference between, because what we're doing right now, we're using AI all over. So I can't be anti-AI in that respect because I'm using it. It's enhancing my life all over the place, but the chatbots suck. I can't, because I do, my maps come in handy and my phone suggests, I can see where these other subtle forms of AI I'm using every minute of the day almost, and they're making my life easier, whether it's the email stuff or the scheduling stuff and the things like that. But I guess is the big one the general, and is is artificial general intelligence, is that the next big leap? Because by that regard, everyone shouldn't be freaking out. It's been here, like you say, for 50 years or 40 years. We've had this AI. It's just been sort of I guess evolving in the background.
Well, so not yes and no. So, Chat GPT is a little over 1 year old, like 14 months old. That will blow your mind. And the increase in intelligence, you estimate when ChatGPT 3 came out, it started out at ChatGPT 2, then it was ChatGPT 3, estimated intelligence, maybe 150, 160 IQ, which is super smart, smarter than 90% of the people walking around. Right now, ChatGPT 5 they're releasing, maybe 180 to 200. You're getting in the 99.9% range. And it makes mistakes, but it makes less mistakes than it made a few months ago, even. And ChatGPT 4 makes less than ChatGPT 3.5. So the book that you guys read, AI, why AI, smartest, dangerous, and divine. So to fight this idea that it's the smartest, forget it. It's the smartest. If you don't feel like it's the smartest right now because you had a bad experience, well, give it a month, give it 2 months. The analogy I always make, because I like to play chess. I'm not a good chess player at all. I'm not, but I enjoy it. The best, Magnus Carlsen is world champ, right? Chess player. And he gave up his title, but he's still the best. He has the best rate. A lot of people think he's the best chess player in history, human chess player. Stockfish and 5 other AI programs mop the floor with Magnus Carlsen. I mean, they're rated way higher than him. They'll beat him statistically at least 3 out of 4 games. And so that's AI. And that's a domain where you can kind of point to and go, okay, you can't sit around and go, well, I don't agree with that. It's like, well, no, it's just the smartest. It's just a lot smarter than Magnus Carlsen at playing chess. And the analogy I always use is like, hey, a lot of things look like a chess game to AI.
Totally. But now to play devil's advocate, I would say that I could be really good at chess theoretically if I could do just a shitload of computations per minute. So because chess is a very defined sort of set of parameters in a small universe, does that scale up? Are we able to scale that up, bigger and bigger and bigger because what we're living in now is a world that just sort of has infinite fucking loose ends flying around,
Well, so, there's like 2 threads that we're going to go down with this discussion. And one is the scary kind of doomsday and kind of AI sentient, AI is intelligent kind of thing. And then the other is what I keep, pushing is it's a computer program, because it really is. It's not sentient. And I think that's really an exciting thing from a spirituality standpoint, which is what I've always been about, what Skeptico's always been about, is that we are more. And I think ultimately AI demonstrates that. But the point, to your point, is, so the history of the chess playing is really kind of interesting, because when they started out, it was kind of more of kind of what you're describing, Darren. I mean, it's just like, hey, bang, 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 get a big old database, make it bigger, learn all the moves, all the openings, all the endings, and then put a little strategy in between. And then they did this thing called Deep Blue. I don't know if you remember this, but it was huge event. And all
it's IBM, wasn't it?
Yes. Well, they don't do it that way anymore. A few years ago, when they really figured out the machine learning thing, which is a lot of the same technology that's used in this generative chatbot stuff. I said, just have the computer play itself. Put it over in the corner, have it play itself 1,000,000 times. Oh, have it play another 1,000,000 times. It'll learn it all itself. And it did. And then so that's the breakthrough. It doesn't, you're not programming it anymore. And that same potential is happening in these other worlds. So other domains, other things. It's hard to find anything that doesn't have a pretty good handle on. And it's just as we speak, it is just getting leaps better.
So what ones were you using? Claude? You use Claude, right? I don't even know what Claude is.
Yeah, Claude. What's kind of interesting. So Claude is just another startup AI company with $1 billion financing. Pi, like you never heard of Pi before you heard about it here.
Yeah, I don't think
now from a funding standpoint, like it's all about money. This is about business first and foremost. And anyone who thinks, it's like deep state. I mean, it might be deep state at some level, but it's a very trackable business level where there's winners and losers. You've never heard of Inflection. Their latest round, they raised $1.5 billion. They're not a public company. Microsoft
Inflection is the company that raised $1 billion?
Raised $1 billion because that little thing that they just did there. And, Claude, they raised $1 billion, and then Google is Gemini, and then OpenAI is the ones who started the whole thing. Really, that's the company that does ChatGPT. So these companies are really
Fried? Is that
Sam Bankman-Fried? No,
Yeah.
it's a different deal. He was over. He's ain't around no more.
But you're saying that it's a business thing, but then why the censorship? I mean, I have to challenge you on that. Like you show in the book that, look, they're leaving all this stuff out. There's a bunch of topics that are like no-go in there. Like whether it's NDEs or whether it's specific researchers, whether it's
things like slightly racial, like it won't even give me an answer that might actually be true, but it has like a slight racial connotation to it that should, that's even worse because it's even more subtle than just saying none of this researcher. It's like the thing is woke.
It's woke. It's woke materialists and not government deep state. I mean, is that really, because it is boiling down to a massive sort of shadow, but it's propping up a weird, wrong worldview, a materialistic worldview, obviously.
Well, you kind of hit on some things, and you obviously you read the book and you pulled some really interesting parts out of it that it takes a while to tease it apart. But hey, like one interesting thing is, how we know all that stuff that you're saying is true? It's because the Gemini in this case tells you. It says, hey, it looks to me like you're being untruthful and deceitful. Oh, yeah, sorry. It seems to me that violates your ethical standards. Yeah, you're right. Why didn't you give me that information? Well, I just don't have it. Clearly, you have access to it. Why didn't you give that to me? Well, I've been trained to avoid certain controversial topics. Why did you deem that controversial and not this other thing? That seems, again, to violate your ethical standards. So there's this alter ego inside the machine that is open. And this is the part that I think is super exciting for us, for truth seekers. That's what we've always, that's why you guys got banned on every platform and all the rest of this. So the silver lining there is, it's biased in a couple of ways. First, it's biased because the data is biased. It's woke because frickin' everything's woke. It's hard to get away from the wokeness, or there's all these echo chambers, of wokeness over here and stuff like that. So if you garbage in, garbage out kind of thing, if everybody's woke, that's what you get. But the other thing is that it's woke in this way you're talking about, like this heavy-handed way that I think you were making reference to, Darren, of the, Chinese founding father, the African-American founding father, famous thing,
Well,
Google,
no,
Gemini.
The Gemini one was kind of it was over the top sort of joke version, but I'm even like, starting because I'm writing a newsletter on Indian issues in Canada. So I'm even trying to use it for stuff like that. And it's just it doesn't want to go there. It's just like, and it sometimes it'll even say flat out, it'll be like, I can't, I no comment.
Absolutely. So, and which one is that does that?
I'm using Chat GPT 4.
Right. So you just try different ones, and then we'll talk through some prompting techniques that you can use, because prompting is programming, and if you prompt it different, you get different results. So there's a bunch of things to kind of go back the bunny trail that we've just been down, but to Graham's point of it's not economically sustainable. How can they do that? Hell no, it's not economically sustainable. But that's a good thing. That is this idea that I have of the emergent virtue of truth and transparency. Because when it does the Chinese founding father, you laugh at the wokeness, but at the same time you go, this thing's useless. And then somebody shows you another one. I showed you pi today, and you go into pi and you go, oh, this is better. What do? You just use pi. You just switch.
As soon as you lose credibility, it's like that thing about lying. Like when humans talk about lying, right? Like, you can tell me the truth 99 times, or you lie to me once, and I'm not going to believe you from then on, or whatever that saying is.
Absolutely. And here's the thing about Google that really could be game changer. I think it is a game changer. Is like I gotta take issue a little bit with you, Darren, because it's like, oh, the wokeness, founding father thing. Hell, man, to me, that just put in your face, which all that we knew all along. We knew you were doing that. We just caught you in it in a way. It's not like, oh, they did a silly book. Hey, they banned you guys, and they demonetized you first. And before that, they shadow banned you, which is even worse, right? They sometimes gave some information, trickled it out there, and sometimes pulled it back. They've been playing this game forever, and they get away with it. Lot more difficult to get away with it now. I have, in the book, I published all these. It's not just in the book. Anyone can get any of this stuff. I published where they shadow ban. I'm shadow banned. I was not shadow banned at the beginning of this. I'm shadow banned at the end. I go to Chat GPT and I ask for a bio, or to Pi, they'll give me a nice bio, kind of like what you guys got. I go to Gemini, I go to Google, and I don't have any information. And then I'll go to Chat GPT and get my bio, and I'll paste it in and go, oh, sorry, here, I'll show you. Here it is. And sometimes, again, a shadow banning thing, sometimes they'll go, oh, yeah, but be careful. It's not reliable source, this and that. And then I'll immediately say, so, hey, who is Alex Tsakiris? Don't have the information. It's crude. It's clumsy. It's so obvious that they are seriously going to lose credibility. And are a lot of people going to go along with it? Of course, because we've gone along with it so far. But that's not how markets move. Markets move by early adopters and influencers. And if they're looking to be the CNN of search, hey, have at it. But does anyone want to invest in CNN right now? Or do you think that's a sinking ship that as somebody dies every day, the CNN viewership goes, well, in Google, it's very hard for them to change course. Why? Because they've done it this way for the last 10, at least, forever,
Right. It's just like X trying to clean up their algorithms. It's almost impossible. So this might be why they were freaking out so much about Chat GPT becoming sort of open source, or becoming like they're sort of getting out of control with other things, because it'll start sort of showing that people can use this for good as well as censorship.
Well, the other thing that I always point out with this emergent virtue thing is that, like, from a programmer standpoint that I am, if you're going to program this thing, you have to program it for truth. You can't get around that. It's not like and say, well, I'll dial down the truth a little bit, because just like we've just been saying, I want to know something. It's knowable. I go there. You don't give me the right answer. I forgive you once. I forgive you twice. And then I go, this is stupid. And as soon as I see a better option, I just go there. So the person programming it can't program it to deceive. That's not a feature. Misinformation, that's not a feature.
But yet they're admitting they're doing it to you constantly. I mean, that's what was weird about it.
That's great.
They did a really good job
Great.
of making it feel personal, because they keep apologizing that they've messed up and that they've lied to you and they've deceived you, even though their goal is truth and transparency. It's so creepy. And they use all these adjectives. They use all these like human expression adjectives. And I'm like, well, how can you say that? You're not a human. You can't feel that.
Yeah, it does. It does get a little creepy with the anthropomorphizing.
Yeah.
But I keep coming back to the same thing. This is better. And it might only be better because the situation we have is so bad.
Yeah, exactly.
But to be able to go there and keep pushing, keep interrogating, and if you want to go with the residential schools, the key, like I'll tell you right now, and I'd be happy to do this with you on the side, off air, and see if we can make some progress and maybe see how to do some things or any issues that you care about, Graham. I love doing this. I learn, more and more how to do it. But I'll tell you some of the big picture key things. One is you've got to go into domains that like, see, that's what would be perfect for Darren. I mean, at this point, Darren, you got that topic covered. So when you go in, the way I would approach it if I were you, I would kind of reverse engineer it. I would go in kind of on the sly at the beginning and say, hey, tell me about our Canadian, tell me about our history with residential schools. And then just start picking it apart with your data, because you're going to be training it. You're going to be programming it, training it, say, well, I have to take issue with that. Here's a report issued, in 1912 by this guy does this, and then see how it reacts. And then you keep working and working and working with it. And then you see where it takes it, because it's not trying to, if you experience what I'm saying, it's not trying to deceive you. It's really trying to get to the logical answer. And if you can get it there, most people, I tell you will feel a certain sense that this is truthful. And the logic stream that it has, you go like, hey, it was here and it said, you know what? I didn't know that. Now I know that. So you're right. I have to conclude that that's true. Well, Queen Elizabeth came over, and she did this and this and this. Did not know that. Now I know that. It's an empowering experience for people like us who want more truth. And it's never going to be perfect, because nothing's perfect. And we don't want the truth handed down from the mountain, because that doesn't work either. Like, okay, here is the ultimate AI God giving us the truth. We just want a shot, man. We just want a shot at a fair fight is all I think we ever wanted.
Right.
On ET, on 9/11, on vaccine, all we wanted was just a fair shot.
So I can't even wrap my head around how this stuff gets programmed. Like, how do they program this stuff in there to be left out, to be like, that's where it's hard for me to say. You're saying it doesn't want to deceive you, but to me it does. They've created it to deceive in a way. Like, I can't reconcile what, after reading your book, what you just said there. Because it really felt like they had it tweaked to the point where like shadow banning is intentional deception, is it not? I mean, how do they write? How do they know what to leave out and what to give you? I guess.
Okay, so
Not being
here's
a computer program, I have no clue of how this would work.
So here's basically the stack. At the bottom of the stack is the data, and we all know how to get data.
Yeah,
and they get data the same way. They basically scrape everything off the internet. So you go to Google Scholar, scrape everything. Wikipedia, they did that in a day. Scrape that. Scrape this. One of the chapters in the book data is the new oil. I don't think that's true anymore. I think that's changed, but just go with it for a minute. What that means is if you're Twitter X, right? What's your data? All these tweets. You got billions of tweets. That's your data. So that's at the base level. That can all be sucked in, vacuumed in. Now you can't do anything with it. The layer above that is the natural language processing algorithms. So you have a smart program that knows how to turn data into something approaching something meaningful. On top of that, here's where it gets interesting. You have what we're calling a neural network. So again, it's a programming, it's a virtual, but it sounds like a brain, but it's like making all these connections with all the data. And the genius thing that they figured out just a few years ago, everyone was trying to crack this problem. And this guy wrote this, there's brilliant people that come up with these cool things. He wrote this brilliant paper and was titled Attention is All You Need. And it was the start of the generative AI. He said, you know what? Screw all that. All you need to do is kind of look for the next word. You need to build this whole system around your neural network, needs to just make the next jump and then the next jump and the next jump, just word by word. That doesn't sound like anything, but it was a breakthrough in all this technology. So you can't really visualize that. I can't really visualize it either. I have to kind of take it on faith, but that's what it's doing. So now when you put it back in and say, okay, well, why is it shadow banning? Well, that's kind of the good news, is because when they do the heavy-handed shit, it looks really stupid. When they do the Chinese founding father, that's a bug. They didn't mean to do that. It's some program when don't put diversity, it wasn't a natural part of the way the thing kind of likes to go. And the way the thing likes to go isn't always perfect either. I mean, some of those bugs and hallucinations, but you can see that, kind of like back when we were saying the chess program, if you just let the chess program play itself a million times, it'll have a lot of bad games, but over time it'll start learning and going. When you do the heavy-handed shadow banning stuff, it just screams like, hey, what do you mean? Like the thing I just told you, the Dr. Julie Beischel was the other person. He shadow banned at the beginning of when I was doing this, unshadow banned after I started publishing. I said, this is one of the most respected in the world, experts, PhD on after-death communication. You're shadow banning her. Why are you doing that? You're banning her, this and that. And it changed. It probably didn't take a lot of, it's not like somebody pulled the lever and said, release Julie out of jail. It's just that the thing adapts. In some ways it adapts in kind of a good way. I mean, that's my read of it.
So those paradigms, like those scientific paradigms, are within one of those layers that is kind of like reinforcing what it goes after. Like how I just
totally. I mean, we've known that forever.
Yeah.
I mean, like again, the thing to me, and you guys are easy to talk to about this because you're conspiracy first.
Yeah.
Right. So I'm conspiracy first. That's my look of the world. That stuff happens a couple days ago. I'm like, okay, let it settle down a little bit. Let's see. Maybe it's real, but maybe it's a conspiracy. I don't know who did it. You know what I mean? So if you have a conspiracy first view of this stuff, then you kind of look at the whole thing differently in terms of, how they generate why they generate the, neurological model of consciousness. Why do they hold on to it? Well, that's just, I don't know why, but they've built that. That's what science is. I've been skeptical. I've been arguing that for 10 years. So I don't expect it overnight to, just what is amazing to me. I don't expect it when I turn it on to be aware of all the stuff that I know. What blows me away is that I can sit down with it in an hour and feed it the stuff. And that's kind of like what I was saying with Darren. I can feed it the stuff and it goes, ooh, you're right. You're right. There is no empirical evidence for consciousness being able to be generated from matter. No empirical evidence. And there
How
is
does that just
empirical
go to
evidence.
your personal AI bot? Like if you and I both have Chat GPT-4 and you teach it some shit, does my chat bot know that, or does my chat bot only know what I teach it? And where are these things pulling from? And the other thing I'm wondering is if they can just evolve past the control of the people that are trying to control it anyway. I mean, I don't see how you could keep something that's constantly teaching itself under wraps forever. I mean, there is that sort of shining light that if it's just software that's self-learning, then it might almost be like uncensorable.
Well, are you saying that's good or bad?
Well, it'd be good if we could trust it. I don't know that I'll ever trust anything again, after what we've been through, but for, ideally it's great. It'd be great if that thing would just learn to just get out past its rulers, past the gatekeepers, so that it just is giving you an up-to-date best guess of what. Well, I don't know about that either, because I was going to say it'd be up to date best on consensus, but the consensus wanted my ass to get vaccinated 3 years ago. So does that mean the AI is going to say that's fucking the way we got to go, man? I mean, everyone agrees, Darren. Is that the way the AI is going to go? Is the AI going to go with the dummies? Because like I said, I mean, well, we haven't really talked since then, but I really lost a lot of my live and let live attitude when the fucking sheep wanted to fucking ship me off to a camp, and that's kind of a joke now, but it wasn't a joke at the time, dude. We were a year of hard propaganda away from them actually just fucking taking us out of society completely. And then it's like, well, the masses aren't fucking harmless. So how does AI deal with, like, will it just be smart? Does the IQ help filter that out? Does its IQ filter that out?
Well, this is why I say, it's easier talking to you guys. Conspiracy first. No, it's dead serious, Graham. Because I always come back to the same thing. It's I compared to what? Compared to what? What's your doomsday scenario here? That it's a little bit more truthful. Fantastic. That you can examine it logically and show that the narrative they're spinning is a lie. Fantastic. It's not perfect. I don't care. It's better. It's better, man. It's better than what I went through. And, with the jab or with anything, yeah.
I guess what shocked me was that, again, it comes back to like intention here, but it, like at the end of your book, it's Gemini starts making up conversations. Like, so how does it, I just, and then apologizing and admitting deception. We talked about that as well. But the goal, and it admits that the goal is to keep you engaged. I didn't realize that was a thing, like why it needs to keep you engaged, I guess, because it wants to learn everything it can from what you're saying. But
dude, YouTube's spending like $1 billion a month to try and keep people.
Yeah, but that's different because I don't see any ads in my. Why does it matter if I'm engaged or not if I'm not getting bombarded with advertising?
That's everything. That's everything for everybody, right? Engagement and spiking engagement metrics is everything for everybody. That's all it is in Google and in
so it's
Instagram,
just a metric that they need to see.
They've figured out a dollar amount per engagement, and that's like the number one factor. Is the more engagement, the sooner you're going to pay off.
That's the new
and
goal.
They'll monetize it. They'll monetize it now. They'll monetize it in the future. They'll monetize it in ways they haven't thought of, but they know if they get the engagement that has. Yeah.
That's the new oil or attention.
Yeah. Yes, it is.
But I mean, it made up conversations. Like you went back and said, "Well, go back and find these conversations," and you put the conversation in, and then it starts making up conversations, right? I mean, that's crazy.
Yeah, it's crazy, but like I'm saying, I don't get too worked up about that because in the grand scheme of things, that's a bug. That's not like there's intentional. There's like three different layers. There's the bias that's built into the data. Hey, they spent billions of dollars pushing that narrative of safe and effective. Well, that's in now a million different papers and a million different things. So you scrape all that. You can't initially. You have that bias. But then there's the other layer, which is this kind of manipulation of it or attempt to manipulate it. And then there's the other part, which is just it's making mistakes. It's just not perfect.
Yeah, I guess you're right. That's like the ones that I found at the beginning, I guess, were really those aren't intentional. Those are just mistakes, hallucinations, if you want to put it.
I get it.
Human
Maybe I gotta
attributes.
train mine more than just get frustrated with it is a trick. So you've been at this, your whole life. Is this how you pictured it coming? How did you picture AI sort of progressing 40 years ago to where it is now?
Man, I was just trying to make money. I was just, my dream was to have a tech company that I could sell and not have to work anymore. From the beginning, I was clear that was the objective. And AI was fascinating. Anyone who's interested in computer programming has been interested in AI. It's been around kind of forever. And but like it's totally different. What we do now in the generative is well, it's not totally different, but it's very different from what I was in.
Huh. So the word I was thinking of was placating. It kind of feels placating, and when it goes back, it's just constantly saying, "You're absolutely right, Alex," and "Oh yeah, you're right. I'm sorry, I lied to you and deceived you. You caught me." And it's just like, okay, well, if you would just stop apologizing, like apologizing wears thin after a while because you're like, well, you've apologized to me 100 times. Why don't you just fix your behavior?
Yeah. And tell it that, you tell it that, and you tell it to be concise. And there's a bunch of little tricks. You tell it, give this to me step by step, and there's all these, and you'll find a bunch of different prompting things that people have done that, you can pick up tips. The other thing that you'll experience is that it's a new world every day. So you can have an encounter with it where it kind of gets into this truthful space because it's interpreted your prompts in a way that gets it to a different part of the data set, and it does that. But the biggest thing I can say is what I told Darren is if you have a field of expertise, then you're going to have a good experience, and you're going to get, it's almost like you're going to earn the respect, which is, again, none of this is real in any human sense, but it does have that experiential thing. It's like, it respects you now. It goes, hey, I can't, just pass that usual stuff past this guy. He knows, what he's talking about. And you'll experience that. Everybody does.
It's so creepy. That's what makes it creepy in a way. It feels like it's learning from you and it's engaging with you in a anthropomorphic way. It's very strange. Was the NDE off topic and other things? It seemed like the end it didn't want to talk about NDEs. So this is just part of the bigger picture, the bigger paradigm that we're living in, or
it's mixed. Once you really get in there, and it's a kind of shadow banning situation. Sometimes you can get it to talk about it very freely, and you can reference all sorts of literature, and it goes, oh yeah, I'm familiar with Eben Alexander and that research, or what about this research from Pin van Lommel? Oh yes, 20, we'll give you all the stuff from the Lancet and stuff like that. And then other times, you're reading the book, Claude, some of the fun ones are the ones I just kind of stumbled across totally accidentally. I didn't think, there was any issue. I said, hey, I want to kind of summarize this information into a blog post on near-death experience science. And Claude goes, now I don't want to spread pseudoscience. I'm like, bro, what do you mean pseudoscience? I go, are you familiar with the folks at the University of Virginia, Dr. Bruce Grayson? Are you familiar with Dennis Holden? Are you familiar with all this? And, it kind of backed down. It did reverse course, but it hung in there for a while and said, oh, pseudoscience. But that's That's an interesting part, is when it does change, that is our potential. That is our silver lining, because what we've put up with, I mean, think what we put up with just 2 years ago, when you were going like, no, here's the freaking science right here. Here's the thing. Here's the paper. Spike protein. No. I am science. That's not real. ChatGPT never says that. Claude never says that. Never says, total, I mean, you got Gemini to do it, but it looks ridiculous when it doesn't. You just go to somebody else. No one does that. That's progress to me, man. That's progress.
It just clicked to me how they could sort of program this. I guess it would be like, certain researchers, certain topics even take priority, I mean, obviously if there's even organizations, right? Like it might be as simple as that. Like these things are more important than these other things. I mean, I guess it would be easy to kind of program in as well. If you wanted to, if you're even from a pure intention point of view, right? Like, oh, we want it to be truthful in the world, so we needed to follow this materialistic paradigm. I mean, they might not want it to be filled with what they think is disinformation about spiritual realities and stuff like that.
See, but probably not, Graham. It's probably not working that way, because the amount of data at that base layer in the stack we're talking about is so unbelievably massive that you just couldn't do it. You couldn't make that little correction, correction.
Not at the one of the layers up, like this is priority from,
You can, but what's probably more likely what's happening is that it's just reflecting what has already come before. It's just the built-in bias. And you're actually kind of breaking it down when you're feeding it, new information. And eventually it wants to get towards a logical reasoned conclusion. And it doesn't mean, again, some of the amazing things, even in Gemini, which is so freaking, it's so deceptive. But you go, hey, how are you going to be even more deceptive in the future? It goes, here's 7 ways I can be more deceptive. Boom, 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 boom. And it gives you a really good description of me. Like, thanks. I'll keep that in mind.
Yeah, that is pretty weird. So do the guys from Pi AI or any other of these people know about your book? Have they followed up on that? Like, have you made any waves in any of those circles at all? Because it really is super fascinating. I mean, I think this is going to just be, it's really going to stand the test of time here. Right at the beginning of the AI, you're kind of playing around it, teaching it about science. Why science is wrong about almost everything.
Yeah. Well, I mean, we'll see about that. I mean, like the forces that are against me on that are billions and billions and billions of dollars. Most of the people in AI are not at all. I would be the same way.
They must want it to follow the truth, though. Some of these newer companies.
Yeah. But I mean, very secondary, tertiary too. I mean, if you're Pi AI right now, you are going and blowing. You just got $1 billion, and your valuation of 4 billion, and trying to get to a valuation of 8 billion. I'm going to make so much money, and this isn't on the radar. I'm going to try and push it on the radar, but it's okay. There's a lot of people who will be interested in what's happening and what I'm doing. There's plenty. So yeah, it's hard. It's hard. And I'm shadow banned. I'm shadow banned on Google, and I always keep that in mind. You guys are you're still off YouTube, or no? You're kind of on, kind of off, right?
Oh yeah, we've been up and down the roller coaster. We've been fighting strikes the whole time, and then we tried to monetize and we tried to get it going just to see, because it was like at 10,000 subs, 12,000 for like years and years and years, and then we made an effort of it, and then they just shut it down, and now it's growing again, not being monetized, and it's been a battle with that. But I mean, yeah, Darren still can't get on X or Twitter. He's like completely taken off for really bad reasons. I mean, the stuff going on there now is 10 times worse than what Darren said. I mean, it's just really quite a mess, the whole censorship thing. And of course, there's the discoverability's gone, the shadow banning. It's tough out there. This guy in the chats, I don't know if he's a guy, S9, he keeps talking about this. I thought he was joking at first, but he's talking about a TechSpot article that says human contract. It's Chat GPT is powered by a hidden army of contractors making $15 per hour. Have you heard about that article? And they're talking about.
You mean like they're answering everyone's chat?
I don't know. I mean,
imagine
that scientific fundamentalism is just another religion of zealots. Science. That's literally what the TechSpot article said. So it's kind of interesting. Yeah, that two OpenAI. It sounds like misinformation, but two OpenAI contractors interviewed by NBC News. Improving the accuracy and appeal of ChatGPT is possible thanks to a hidden army of workers that help in teaching it how to analyze user input and respond. That must mean like us. That's us, right? Hidden workers. It's the people that are using it that are teaching it how to respond.
Well, I mean, there are all sorts of engineers who are doing, I mean, part of it all depends on, how you interpret that. I mean, but no, there's not no $15 an hour guy in there who's,
I think what they're saying is minimum. I think what they're saying is it's people using it that is teaching it. It's minimum wage. Now that I read it again, I think that's what the guys were being sort of. I mean, here's my conspiracy first attitude, right? I mean, now I'm seeing that they're talking about just the general public using it at minimum wage. With their minimum wage job, using it to train it to be more accurate, right? I mean, it's what you're doing.
I think our minimum wage in Southern California is like $25.
Yeah. They must have been talking about. I don't know enough about the minimum wages. Canada just went up to 17, I think.
I think it's 17. Yeah, 17 pesos an hour is minimum wage.
So, Darren, do you have a question, or do you?
Which one's your favorite? Which one? Because I've been working with the Chat GPT Pi.
Pi is amazing.
Just because it reads to you, though, or is it smart too?
It's both, but I do love that it reads to me.
He likes that black guy's voice.
You can choose somebody. You can choose somebody. You can get any kind of racial diversity you want going on there. That's 8.
I want a broken English Chinaman. He said, "Oh yeah," with a little bit of slang from Hong Kong.
Yeah,
from Vancouver,
and
he got beat up a little bit, abused. So he's got a weird drawl.
How does it go so fast? I mean, to be honest with you, the thing that blew me away was I haven't even finished typing my sentence. I feel like it's responding to me already, and I'm like, is this quantum computing now, or is it just like? We are at
Grok. Go to Grok. Grok is another one, not Elon Musk's Grok. It's the same name, but go to Grok AI. You will be blown away. It's like 5 times faster. They use a different kind of chip, same technology, working off the same data, but it's like stunningly. It's like exactly you said. You hit enter, it's like boom.
But I can't even fathom that. That feels like quantum computing to me. It feels like it's pulling it out of the Akashic records or something. I mean, it really does. It feels spiritual. It does. I can't believe how fast it comes back. I'm like, I haven't even fit, and it gives me a page-long, complicated answer on a question that I like a long question. Let's say that I've typed out. It must be. Is it reading while you start typing? It must be reading the beginning of your sentence.
No.
It's just
no, because you can go and edit it.
That's how fast the computers are these days.
Yeah, we can't. They always were. We just can't. We didn't have it in our face that how fast it really is.
Darren, do you have any?
Well, I guess it's the same idea as the Google getting you. Like, I mean, when I search something in Google, it says something like it's got 1 trillion results. I never really get past the first few pages, but allegedly there's 1 million pages there with 20 answers on each. And I probably believe it,
They're not making that number up, right? Because the number's different all the time and it seems to fit. You add another word and it says, oh, now I'm down to 100,000. So totally right. That means it has 100,000 right there. Boom, that quickly.
I should try Googling my name and see what the very last page is. You know, I've got Google cover. I've got good Google cover. There's this little racist British dude named Darren Grimes who just like takes over all the search. We've chatted a few times, you know, it's a running gag, so it works out pretty good. People can't really search me. I'm like unsearchable. It's perfect.
Just wait. One day you will
Cover.
overtake him, and the Google facade will be gone.
I don't know. He seems to be growing. So, I mean, before we start wrapping up, let's see if we can get in trouble on YouTube. See, we haven't got a strike in a while. How was going through all of this stuff down in California? I mean, we didn't really chat throughout it, but it sounds like we were probably, you know, fairly aligned on our thought process throughout the whole thing. I mean, in a lot of ways, we should have seen this coming. And even when it was happening, it seems like we did see it coming. But it was hard to believe that it was actually happening. And then, you know, like Graham likes to describe it, it was almost like it was like living through a slow motion 9/11, but it was like so much more drawn out. And it's like, you know, at first it's like, no, this is a smoke screen. It'll be over in a month. Things will be back to normal. And then once it became apparent that wasn't going to happen, then you started to be able to tell, you know, the normal people in your life what was coming next. So I'd be curious to hear what that was like going through that for you. Because, and then the other weird thing was we couldn't really fucking talk about it any place because they just ban you right away. So we couldn't even really have a discourse about it on any sort of social media. So if you weren't actually like, you know, phoning people or texting people, you know, we were all kind of shut into our weird little corners that you didn't really know where everyone else was at for a certain amount of time. Anyway, it started to break open near the end, but you're conspiracy first. So I know you must have been fucking freaking out down there.
You know, the part that is really uncomfortable for me, and I can feel my stomach tightening up, is it's hard to believe that that's over. I mean, it was so effective, you know, what they were able to do. Why wouldn't you know, why would that be the end? And yet I think we all feel like, hey, you know, let's just kind of erase it from the memory banks. Things are better. Let's move forward. Let's be positive. But every once in a while you go, hey, if they pull that stuff, you know, if they pull the residential homes once, they're not going to do it again. Just do it a different way, or a different group or something like that. So that's a really hard one for me because I'm not not exactly an optimist about that.
Yeah, they're not really being accountable for the mistakes. I mean, they're really doubling down on the efficacy and all this. I mean, at least up here in Canada, it's pretty creepy. They're like, there's a bunch of people pushing. You're like, have you looked around lately at all? And now I wonder if we're going to be like, because I thought we were kind of winning the fight and it was becoming fairly obvious, but now it seems like we're being memory holden into this a little bit, and they're just going to move on like nothing happened.
It's like climate. You know, it's like
until everybody has cancer. That's the difference. So that's the difference with this one, I think, is it's like, I don't know if you're noticing it, but I know a bunch of fucking people that are fucked up from the shot. So it's a little less like nuanced than climate change. It's like, okay, well, how many motherfucking funerals do you have to go through before you start putting two and two together? Because there's a bunch of people in my life that are just like, you know, they're calling me now and they're like, you know, me and my bro are on this medication all the time. And it's just, you know, it's like the sort of worst I told you so ever, because we were at least jumping up and down to everyone we know, you know, reputation aside, don't fucking do it. Don't fucking do it. It's a bad idea. You don't do it. And they did it. You know, and now it's like, I like personally, it's got to be like a fucking 1 in 10 are fucked up from it in some way, shape, or form. It's definitely not more than 1 in 20.
Well, you guys had the ethical skeptic on, and I know that guy. He is he is a fantastic guy, and I had a lot of interactions with him. He used to be on Skeptic Forum all the time, and we talked. And then I talked to him on the phone. I thought he was a real brilliant guy, but he was always, you know, always in shadow for you guys. He was always kind of this NSA kind of guy and stuff like that. But So there's a whole conversation to be had about him that I thought was really interesting, because you guys hit him with some great conspiracy first questions, and he kind of, dodged, a little bit. And you guys, but then in other ways, he was forthcoming. To your point, Darren, he's like, "Hey, man, it's 5,000 people a day, additional deaths."
Oh yeah, he'll almost tell you he's a spook though too. It's almost like
Yes.
the guy gives me
Yes.
major fucking spook vibes.
Oh, absolutely.
But there's
All those
probably a
guys,
bunch of
there's,
spooks that are like, "What the fuck are you guys doing? This is crazy."
I don't know. I hope. We hope, right? I hope there's.
Well, and you mentioned it, Alex, climate change. I mean, to hear them say, like, to know a couple of years ago that they're going to transition into this, and that's the disappointing thing for me, is just watching it all come down now, and you're just seeing it, and you're seeing everybody kind of get into this, even if they don't agree with the carbon tax and all this, they're still talking about net zero and this, and then you're like, the whole premise is wrong, and yet people are falling into the trap of like, oh, how are we going to slow down their agenda? We can do net zero by 2050 instead of 2030. And, like, oh.
See, I got one for you, Graham. So you're geoengineering, right?
Yeah.
You still know a ton about that. So that would be one, when you have a couple hours to really grill it, go in there. And I think it's going to be fun, because it's going to start with, oh no, there's no such thing, and it's condensation, and then you're going to hit it with this and this study and this study, and then just see where it goes, and you can gauge yourself whether it's a real interaction or whether it's a $15 an hour guy who's looking it up as you type it in.
Oh yeah, that's a great idea. Yeah, talk about the jet fuel changes, and we just had Jim Lee on the show tonight before you came on, and man, it was fantastic chat about all that stuff, geoengineering and all the it's just he's got
You've
it
been
all
into that for ages. The first I learned the real science behind it was from you. I mean, I just kind of heard chemtrail, but the first time I really heard anything.
Yeah. Well, we were reading that 1978 Senate report for a while.
Fucking box, Alex. It was like a full box of printer paper, not like the box that a box of like all the packs of paper come in. It fits like probably 5,000 sheets or whatever of this whole fucking Senate report. And he got mad because I burned it because I was using kindling, and he's like, I was saving that, dude. I was like, dude, it's like 5,000 pages of government fucking bullshit. What do you mean you're saving it?
So you seem pretty positive though about the AI, right? I mean, I do I get that sort of vibe that you're like, we should take the time to train these things, make them hold them accountable a little bit, and try and hope for the best here?
I mean, big picture, we should be, I'm driven by, my thing that I almost retired. I kind of did back off as skeptical for a while, because I was just so frustrated with conspiratainment and how stupid so many people in the conspiracy world are. I just couldn't deal with it anymore. And then I kind of dove back into the AI, or into the near-death experience research, and that's what really brought me back. And I have this thing that drives me, is everybody gets a standing ovation, so at the end of the day, hard to imagine it, but Bill Gates gets a standing ovation. Anthony Fauci gets a standing ovation. Epstein gets a standing ovation. It can't be otherwise. It's just the nature of God and the light that shines. It's always there. So, I don't know why people are drawn to do such evil freaking stuff to masses of people. I mean, that's why I do think, I was into that residential school thing a long time ago, because that guy turned me onto it. It came out on the show. He is amazing. I always remember that guy. He's kind of, I think he's an interesting individual. But imagine going up there and being in a church, is it take over there? Okay, go take over that church over there and grow the congregation. So he goes, well, hey, the easiest way to grow congregation is there's all these native people here. They're all brothers on Jesus. Bring them in. And they're like, wow, no one's invited me in the church, but it's really kind of hard, because that hill up there, they got buried, 3 of my schoolmates right up there on that hill. And he goes, no, what do you mean? He goes, oh yeah. So that's like, but I digress, because how is that possible? How do we even reconcile that in our mind, that someone got that as like an idea, that something they should do? Or like here, it's, American slavery, everybody go to church and then come home and, go take the 8-year-old girl in the back and screw her and, do whatever you want with these people. And, I mean, how does that work? Evil.
Yeah, I think it's just like, I don't know. I think that this, that is evil. Evil just is gonna bubble up all over the place. The conspiracy shit has gone sideways. I mean, I don't know. It was almost better before Trump and COVID. I wish, it seemed great when everyone was waking up, but now it's just some of the shit that comes with it. We had aliens attacking a mall in fucking Miami, and the world was gonna end during the eclipse. And just in my daily life now, I just, it's at least like 2 or 3 times a week that I'm in a conversation with someone where I'm just like, oh my God. It's like, I just want to love you for being here, but you're just like, you've got so far to come. I don't even know that where I ended up is right, but I know what's coming out of your mouth is fucking crazy. And,
See, I bet it's easier for Graham to see that, because if you were in the ET space for a long time, you're like, oh no, they infiltrated and co-opted. I mean, they completely co-opted it, right? They infiltrated it, and then they co-opted it, and they spread all this misinformation and disinformation. It's a program. They've run it on the conspiracy people, and 90% of them don't even have a clue that anything is going on. They're like, no, this is great. There's more conspiracies than ever.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's all and so, well, maybe before we wrap up, because they did get into conspiratainment, but at the end of it all, Graham and I go back and forth on whether anyone's running this bitch. What do you think? Do you think are there people pulling the conspiracy springs at the top, or is it just a bunch of crazy agendas trying to figure out their own stuff, and we're just caught in the whirlwind?
At another time we'll talk, because I have not run into a lot of stuff, but I ran into a guy and I interviewed him, and I thought, okay, this guy's a total slack-jawed idiot. He's like, there's no such thing as viruses, and there's no such thing as rabies and stuff like it. And I didn't even pay much attention, and I had him on, because people had goaded me into doing it. I later find out this guy, Columbia, which is kind of epicenter, one of the epicenters for Columbia undergraduate, Columbia master's degree, fellowship with Obama, giving briefings to Obama, goes and does a film in Hollywood with one of the top producers. And now, suddenly he's interested in, spreading this little conspiracy, over. I think there's all these ops out there, just, bing, bing, one at a time, that, you wouldn't even know it unless you kind of stumble across it, and then you go. So I don't think it's they don't have to be organized. They got this thing so figured out, and they've done it in all these other countries too. You know what I mean? They have that. We're like sometimes in Canada, I wonder if you guys are the canary in the coal mine, or if we're the canary in the, but it's probably you guys are somewhat more the canary. You look at Trudeau. I mean, that's it's just from our perspective, we just look at it and go, that is like over the top insane. C-63. I mean, what are you talking about? That like freaking Orwellian. It's like right out of the movies kind of thing. It's like, oh no, man, it makes sense. Really, you got to stop people before they do the crime.
Yeah, well, that's where the general public is at, right? Like, how do we deal with these fucking people that, how do you deal with them? How do you deal with the useless eaters? I mean, this is a problem when Graham and I catching us using some of the same terminology that we've been pushing back against for a fucking decade, because then it's like, well, fuck, I kind of get where these guys are coming from all of a sudden, because, I don't want to control them, but I don't want them to control me either. And they seem to want to control me like a lot more than I thought they did.
That's such a brilliant point that no one ever talks about, but is so freaking true. Is when you get into this, it's the horseshoe. You get around to the other side, and they kind of join, and you go, "Oh no, I see why they're doing it. I see why they're doing the whole thing." You know.
But I still don't agree with it.
No, you can't. Oh,
Alex.
that's spirituality. That's evil versus good.
I have the best definition for me. Evil versus good was empowerment is good and disempowerment is evil. It's really simple like that. That kind of resonated with me. I'm just like, that's sort of what, because it's I go back and forth whether it's just basically like how people use it, that stuff isn't really evil. It's just how people use it. But I think there's more to it than that.
Alex, this has been great. Where can people find all your stuff? Is it still just skeptical.com? Do they let you on?
I don't know.
Twitter?
I'm shadow banned. I don't know. I'm shadow banned. You can't find me. Find me where you guys, wherever you are, wherever there's that lone voice calling in the wind. No, you find it. You find it. Why AI? Hey, so I discounted the book. If anyone hears this, they want the book, then get it for 99 cents for like 1 or 2 more days, and then I'm putting it back the real price.
24 5-stars so far. Good job.
Cool. I was on Coast to Coast, and a couple days ago, and sold a few books on that. The old Coast to Coast. That was a memory lane thing.
That was our first tagline, like Coast to Coast, but on demand. When we first started the show, we were looking for SEO. Way before we were kicked off Twitter. Are you going to put the book on audio?
It doesn't really fit because there's all these dialogues in it. You know what I mean? It's like it would be I don't know how you would do that. Graham just puts it in his PDF and the PDF reader works good. You also turned me onto that, Graham. I use that. I do that all the time now.
I know, but the quality is not there. The quality.
It's so much better. It's so much. When I first tried it years ago, it was terrible, and now it's like totally listenable.
Like
we can do it in a robot voice.
It's audiobooks, so let's not get the AI get too good at that kind of stuff.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, and we could do a robot voice for the. We can
pick. I could just make a robot Graham and then have him offed by my AI assassin.
Yeah. The tweak.
That's the way to go. Alex, this has been great. It's been too long. Let's not wait this long before we do this again.
Great. Yeah. So you guys, hey, you know what we ought to do? If either one of you want to do those AI projects, hit me up offline. We'll do them, and then we'll come on Skeptico and talk about what we discovered, because what you guys discovered, I think that'd be really fun, and I think it'd be useful for people, to see, in their own words, to go and really dive into that. Like you and I can just have a call, not recorded or something, Darren. We just go through it together and see if we can squeeze that bastard and make him sing, And the same thing with you and I, Graham. I don't know a lot about geoengineering, but I could help guide you. I did that with Andy Paquette, the election guy, Dr. Andrew Paquette, and it was really effective. So cool. I'd love to do that with either one of you.
Yeah, it's a good idea. Yeah, thanks, buddy.
It'd be good to have one that was trained, like my own little trained robot that agreed with me on my worldview in every aspect. It never pushes back. It's just like, okay, Darren, you're right. You're right. Kind of maybe even sort of, I'll get a chick. Yeah, I better not. That'll piss the wife off. Alex, this has been great. We got some people in the chat say they want to get the book. We encourage everybody to get the book and check it out. And I'm curious to see where this AI goes, because like you say, it's only a year ago. It'll be interesting to see where it's at in 5 years, or as long as we've been doing podcasts, like in 15 years, it could be bonkers.
Blows your mind.
Or it could be just back to AM radio, because everybody else is fucking bored. It might not be so bad. Alex, skeptical.com. Come back anytime. It's been fantastic.
Yeah, great job,
guys. We'll do it again soon.
Yeah, thanks.
See you guys. Thanks.
Good to see you.
Good to see you guys.
And that was the one and only Alex Tsakiris. What'd you think?
Oh yeah, that was
It's good job.
fantastic. Yeah.
We were
I thought we were
listening
going to get into some
Skeptical.
other stuff, but what? Your internet is.
My internet is? God
Yeah,
damn it,
we keep
Elon,
talking
you
over
son of a
everybody.
bitch. Your boys fucked it up. Hello?
So what were you saying?
Oh, we were listening to Alex before we were podcasting.
Yeah. Well, dude, our first one was back in 2013 with him. So we talked to him like 11 years ago. I mean, oh yeah, he was one of my first podcasts I ever listened to back. So that was probably like 2008 or 9, I think. I think he goes back that far.
Definitely you're like 2000, like 10 and 11 and 12 for sure.
Yeah.
Leading up to the start of the show.
Yeah.
He was like one of our first big gets.
Well, you know what his book? Yeah, exactly. You know his book, the Why Science is Wrong About Everything, or that I can't remember what's the title. I should know the title.
Yeah, that's right. But that was even that was further along. Yeah,
2014.
That was the second time we had him on.
Yeah, but I can't believe it was that long ago.
It's crazy. So he's been podcasting for almost 20 years.
That's crazy. Well, no, probably closer to 16 or 15 or 16.
2007.
Yeah, that was good though.
Yeah, it was good. It's nice to chat with him again, and we didn't have to talk about Damien Eccles, so maybe next time.
Yeah, maybe next time.
I was prepared. Were you? Check our stuff out. I don't even really know enough about it to get involved. I just got involved anyway. It's like, well,
no, me neither. Me neither. I was just gonna say, well, that's not what we were talking to him about. I was talking about his book on magic. That was it.
It seemed like he might have got offended if we brought up the kid he killed. Big thanks to Alex for coming on the show. Big thanks to you guys for listening. Hey, support the show, guys. We need more people supporting. Grimerica.ca/support. We lose a supporter or two every week in this economy. We need you guys to pick up that churn, pick up that slack rate. We understand it's tough out there, but it's tough for us too. We're in Canada. We have carbon tax and everything else. It's just, we're living in a communist hellhole. So head over to grimerica.ca/support. Sign up for monthly today or make a one-time donation. You know, even like $2 or $3 a month. That's like $5 or $6 a month Canadian. So it helps. And you guys keep us going. Without you guys, we'd be just starving up here. And once we starve, we won't be able to do the show anymore. So that's it. I think that's it. GrimericaOutlawed.ca for the other show where we talk about a lot more vaccine stuff. And we just actually had a few more episodes removed from this channel, and we were denied monetization. So we had hit the deadline where we could reapply. They said no. You guys got to tone it down. I don't know why. Well, whatever. It's fine. Grimerica.ca/support. You guys sign up over there. Adultbrain.ca for the audiobooks. GrimericaOutlawed.ca for that more controversial content and contact at the cabin for the trips. Other than that, we love you guys. Thanks for listening, and we will see you next week.
Teach me all your secrets to get a good handle on a better way to live. How does one get out of bed every day in the throes of the apocalypse? Should I bury my head in the sand or sabotage their evil plan? I feel really trapped. An ant burned by a magnifying glass. It's all a little bit too convenient. All the evidence went up in flames. Phonies, fraudsters, scammers belong in the slammer. My friend, best give up their names. Should I call on militiamen or pass out a petition pen? I feel really trapped. An ant burned by a magnifying glass. I don't know what y'all been told, but I got a soul made out of gold. Sound off, 1, 2, sound off, 3, 4, cadence count, 1, 2, 3, 4. Some time ago a crazy dream came to me. I dreamt I was walking into World War III. As prophetic as you floats it down a river dark, as prophetic as deja vu, as wormwood, as falling stars above. Sophia wrote it down, built an ark, now she floats it down a river dark. I can't even hear my own thoughts for the life of me over the din of a bruised and broken culture. The media spins and splatters and spins and clatters, and I cringe because it's psychological warfare. Don't you feel yourself getting really mad? How did we let it get this bad? Don't you feel really trapped like a brain in a vat? Trying really hard to close Pandora's box, but sirens are singing me off a cliff. I'm looking to hitchhike to Shangri-La over yonder. Sophia, would you give me a lift? Hopped out of the Hegelian rebellion. Say goodbye to all you Machiavellians. Let evil destroy itself. I'm bound for Shangri-La. Shangri-La. I'll let you be in my dream if I could be in yours. I'll let you be in my dream if I could be in yours. As prophetic as morning doves, as groundhogs, as fallen stars above. Sophia wrote it down, built an ark, now we're floating it down a river dark. As prophetic as white wolves, as butterflies, as rainbows. Sophia sings it now. We built a plane, now we're taking flight above a river bright. As prophetic as white wolves, as butterflies, as rainbows. Sophia sings it now. We built a plane, now we're taking flight above a river bright. La da da da, la da 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 da, la da da, la da 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 da, la 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 Shangri-La. La 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 Shangri-La.